sound of gentle, hopeful music begins to swell. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we witness the dawn of a new era in the final chapter of the Legend of the Restorer. Let's dive into the epilogue, the dawn of the Alliance. We open in a grand, newly refurbished council chamber within the Azure Phoenix stronghold. Light floods the room, washing away the shadows of the past. The atmosphere is solemn yet filled with optimism. At the head of a long, polished table stands Liwei, the Restorer. To his right are his trusted allies, Qin Feng and Jian, the former Viper leader. Across from them sit Master Kai of the Northern clans and two of his advisors. The weight of history hangs in the air, but it's a weight of accomplishment, not burden. Liwei's voice, calm and steady, breaks the silence. The alliance is now officially ratified, he declares. The Azure Phoenix clan and the Northern clan stand united under the principles of truth and restoration. He turns his gaze to the wise elder. Master Kai, your wisdom will guide our foreign policy. Master Kai nods, his face a mask of respect and profound satisfaction. The North is honored, he replies, his voice resonating with conviction. Restorer Liwei, your actions ensured not just the survival of the clans, but the very purity of the land. We trust your decisions completely. The pact is sealed not with a mere signature, but with mutual, hard-won respect. Liwei then turns to his two closest companions, the men who stood by him through the darkest trials. His pride is evident as he addresses his young apprentice. Qin Feng, he says, your courage at the Crimson Peak proved you are more than an apprentice. You will serve as the chief strategist overseeing the new clan guard and training the next generation. Qin Feng, ever humble, bows his head. I accept, Master. My duty is to the protection of the restored purity. He has truly come into his own, no longer just a follower, but a leader in his own right. Next, Liwei faces Jian. The man who once led the Vipers now stands tall, his hardened edges softened by genuine loyalty. His transformation is perhaps the most symbolic of all. Jian, Liwei says, granting him a position of immense trust. Your path from corruption to redemption is the true spirit of the Phoenix. You will serve as the master of discipline, ensuring that all former Viper members and any new recruits adhere to the moral code of our clan. Jian's response is heavy with the gravity of his new purpose. I will uphold the code, Restorer. There will be no shadows in my ranks. A promise made, a new path forged. The scene shifts to the old training grounds, now clean and bright. Elder 2 and Elder 3, once conspirators, are now stripped of their robes and dressed in simple workers' clothes. Under the watchful, unyielding eye of Jian, they oversee young clan members carrying water. They are humbled, their pride broken, but their service now strengthens the very foundation they once sought to undermine. Observing from a distance, Qin Feng remarks, Elder 2 and 3 seem to be finding a useful place after all. And Jian, he is a fierce teacher of purity. Liwei offers a faint, knowing smile. Restoration means finding the good in everything, he says. Their pride is broken, but their service now strengthens the clan. In another part of the grounds, we see Qin Feng in his element, leading young recruits through a fast-paced, complex drill with incredible speed and control. Liwei watches with satisfaction, his hand resting on the staff of authority. He then steps away from the noise, seeking a moment of peace on a secluded balcony that overlooks the vast, beautiful valley. The sky is bright, the clouds dispersing, a perfect metaphor for the clearer future they have all fought for. The Phoenix has risen, Liwei whispers to himself. The world is safer now, but the path of the Restorer is never truly finished. He stands on the balcony, taking a deep breath of the clean, restored air. The urgency of conflict is gone, replaced by a profound sense of peace. In his hand, he holds a small, smooth, white stone, a gift from the Northern clan, a symbol of permanent peace. The Restorer, Liwei, had been tested by poison, betrayal, and war. He emerged not as a king, but as the guardian of the truth. In a final, symbolic act, Liwei places the stone on the balcony's parapet, leaving it to overlook the valley. He turns and walks back towards the inner halls, his duty done for now. The Azure Phoenix clan's restoration was complete. The alliance was secured. The lessons of balance, honesty, and purity would endure, ensuring the prosperity of the clans for generations to come. Our final shot is a wide, inspiring view of the Azure Phoenix stronghold, nestled in the mountains, glowing brightly under a clear sky. A single, stylized phoenix symbol shines on the gate. The legend of the Restorer is complete. What an incredible journey this has been. From betrayal and corruption to redemption and a new dawn.
Years have passed, a golden age of peace settling over the Azure Phoenix stronghold like a warm, sunlit blanket in a tranquil courtyard where flowering vines climb walls softened by time. The future of the clan gathers. A small group of children, their faces bright with curiosity, sit at the feet of a very old, white-haired Qin Feng. His eyes, though framed by the fine lines of age, still hold the sharp glint of the chief strategist he has become in his hands. He cradles a well-worn copy of the Code of Restoration, its pages a testament to a hard-won history. A young, wide-eyed child leans forward, unable to contain their excitement. Master Qin Feng, tell us again, please. Did Restorer Liwei really fight the giant shadow with nothing but his bare hands? The other children murmur in agreement, their imaginations painting vivid pictures of the legendary battle. A warm chuckle escapes Qin Feng's lips, a sound as gentle as the rustling leaves above them. He rests the book on his knee, his gaze drifting towards a familiar statue in the distance. The staff of authority, once a symbol of conflict and a tool of control, now stands as a peaceful monument, a reminder of their journey. He gestures toward it, a fond smile playing on his lips. He fought with something far stronger than hands, child, he says, his voice filled with a deep, abiding respect. He fought with purity of intent. The shadows of the serpent were only destroyed when he proved that the greatest power isn't the power to destroy, but the power to heal. The children listen, captivated, as Qin Feng's words paint a picture not of violence, but of profound strength. The lesson sinks in, a seed of wisdom planted in the fertile ground of their young minds. This is the legacy not of a warrior, but of a healer. The camera pulls back, soaring high above the stronghold, revealing a breathtaking panorama of the newly named Phoenix North Alliance. What was once a land divided by suspicion and ancient grudges is now a tapestry of thriving communities. Small villages dot the landscape, connected by bustling, peaceful trade routes that weave through the valleys and over the mountains, binding the North and the Phoenix lands together as one. The unification brought not just an end to war, but the beginning of decades of unprecedented peace and shared prosperity. In one of these vibrant villages, we see a familiar face. A group of people works together, their laughter and conversation mixing with the sounds of construction as they raise a new home. Directing the effort with a calm, quiet efficiency is Jian. Now middle-aged, the turmoil of his past has been smoothed away, leaving a serene strength in its place. He guides the construction, his movements deliberate and his voice steady, a pillar of the community he helped build. The memory of the corrupt elders, once a festering wound on the clan's soul, has faded. In its place, the lessons of transparency, cooperation, and true earned loyalty have taken root and flourished. Our journey ends where a new beginning was forged on that peaceful balcony overlooking the valley. The small white stone, a silent witness to a pivotal promise, still rests on the parapet, warmed by the setting sun. An older Liwei stands there, alone. His hair is now touched with gray, a distinguished silver at his temples, but his eyes retain the same youthful, intense purity that set him on his path so long ago. He wears simple robes, having long ago ceded any formal title or position of power. His authority was never about a throne. He gazes out at the magnificent sunset, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, his eyes sweeping across the unified lands stretching out before him. A soft, contented sigh escapes his lips, a whisper carried on the evening breeze. The journey ends. He says, his voice quiet but absolute. The restoration is complete. He had sought not to conquer, but to mend, not to rule, but to restore. And in watching the world heal, in seeing its soul renewed, he had found the greatest fulfillment imaginable. The true victory was never about gaining power over the world, but in giving it back its heart.
It is twilight, and the stars are beginning to emerge. The air is cool and still. Action. Jian, now older as seen in the last chapter, but wearing the simple dark robes of a senior strategist, indicating he took over from Qin Feng, stands with his back to the viewer, looking out over the twinkling lights of the valley below. He holds a small, Leather-bound journal. Jian inner monologue. Text box. For decades, the piece has held. The code of restoration is the foundation. Master Liwei's gift was not the end of a struggle, but the beginning of an era. Action. Jian turns slightly. We see a young, teenage girl, perhaps 15 years old, with a keen, focused expression, standing beside him. She wears a simple apprentice's tunic. Her name is Mei. Mei speaking, respectful but earnest. Master Jian, the trade envoy from the Western Sands will only agree to the new timber tax if we promise to fund the new river bridge immediately. Action. Jian smiles a rare, genuine smile and gently taps the journal with his finger. He turns to face her fully, the twilight illuminating his wise features. Jian speaking, warmly, an excellent problem. But tell me, Mei, if the bridge is built before the tax is levied, who truly benefits? The traders, or the people who rely on the crossing every day? Action. A close-up on Mei. Her eyes are narrowed slightly in thought, clearly grappling with the layers of the political and economic challenge. Mei speaking, decisively, a spark of understanding in her eyes. The people. Restorer Liwei taught us that true governance must always serve the needs of the vulnerable, not the convenience of the powerful. We must adjust the tariff schedule, not the timing of the construction. Jian and Mei are framed against the vast, star-filled sky, looking over the peaceful valley. Jian nods, satisfied. Action. Jian places a hand on her shoulder. The journal in his other hand is clearly visible, with the title faded but still legible. The Teachings of Purity. Jian speaking, voice low, full of pride and hope. Go, Mei. Draft the revised proposal. The work of restoration is never complete. It simply passes to the next capable hands. Sunlit courtyard of the Azure Phoenix stronghold, where the stone is worn. The sun is at its zenith, bathing the scene in bright, gentle light. Action. The focus is on a single, healthy flowering vine growing vigorously along the wall. The same one mentioned in a small, vibrant new blossom is unfurling. Narrator text box. Decades passed. The great struggles became quiet legends, whispered to children. A close-up on the staff of authority's statue base, where the staff remains, not as a weapon, but as a monument. There is a small, clean crack in the stone foundation, perhaps caused by time or the settling of the earth. Action. An older hand, gentle, but strong, and practiced is carefully sealing the crack with a thin, clear resin. The hand is that of Liwei, now truly ancient, his simple robes blending with the stone. He is focused on the simple act of repair. Liwei inner monologue, softly to himself. Restoration is not a single act. It is constant vigilance against the slow erosion of time. A wide, majestic view of the unified Phoenix North Alliance territory from a high peak. The land below is prosperous. Action. A convoy of Phoenix North trade carts passes peacefully. They are carrying goods, but also simple, brightly painted wooden toys for the villages. Purity of intent became the foundation of all commerce. True strength was found in transparent exchange, not hidden agenda. The little white stone from the previous chapters is still on the parapet, showing the entire valley receding into the distance, blanketed in peace. We see Liwei panel to has finished his work and is gone. The scene is empty, but the feeling is full. The restorer had completed his journey. His greatest legacy was the quiet continuation of a perfect, peaceful moment. Decades drifted by, like clouds across a summer sky. The great struggles, the thunderous battles that once shook the very foundations of the world, softened into quiet legends. They became stories whispered to children at bedtime, tales of courage and sacrifice from a time long past. Here, in the sunlit courtyard of the Azure Phoenix stronghold, time itself seems to breathe a gentle sigh. See this vine? It climbs the old stone wall, a testament to life's enduring strength. A new blossom, vibrant and full of promise, unfurls its petals to the light, a silent echo of the peace that was so hard-won. Time wears all things down, even stone, even monuments. The staff of authority, once a symbol of power and conflict, now stands as a silent guardian, a reminder of the past. Look closely at its base. A small crack, a minor flaw born from the slow settling of the earth. But see this hand, ancient, yes, but steady and sure. It belongs to Liwei. He is no longer the warrior, but the caretaker. With focused grace, he seals the fissure with clear resin. It's a simple act, but it speaks volumes. He knows that restoration isn't a single, grand event. It is the constant, quiet vigilance against the slow erosion of time. The daily choice to mend what is broken. From this high peak, we can see the fruit of that vigilance. The lands of the unified Phoenix North Alliance stretch out below, a tapestry of prosperity and peace. The old trade routes, once fraught with danger, are now wide and bustling. But this commerce is different. It's built not on greed, but on trust. Convoys carry essential goods, yes, but they also carry joy brightly painted wooden toys destined for the children in distant villages. The purity of their intent became the bedrock of their society. They learned that true strength isn't found in hidden daggers or secret agendas, but in the open, honest exchange between people. As the sun sets, casting long, peaceful shadows across the valley, we return to the balcony. The little white stone, a silent witness to so much history, still rests on the parapet. Liwei has finished his work and is gone. The scene is empty, yet it feels complete, full of a quiet, unshakable peace. The restorer's journey is over. He didn't build a grand empire or a towering monument to himself. His greatest legacy is this, the quiet, unending continuation of a perfect, peaceful moment. A legacy of stillness, of growth, and of a world mended not by force, but by care. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey. It has been an honor to share this story with you. If you've been moved by this tale, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more content that explores the power of story. Decades have passed since the Great Restoration. Time, like a gentle river, has smoothed the sharp edges of history, leaving behind a world reborn. The Azure Phoenix stronghold, once a symbol of desperate struggle, now stands as a monument to peace. Its stones are worn, its walls draped in flowering vines, not as a sign of decay, but of life's triumphant return. Look here, at this simple stone path. A single wildflower, vibrant and defiant, has pushed its way through a crack. This is the true testament to the restorer's work. Not the grand structures, not the rewritten laws, but the simple, enduring life that now flourishes everywhere, a testament to a foundation built to last. The greatest monuments are often the smallest signs of a world in balance. High on a secluded wall, a small white stone remains embedded, a silent witness to countless hours of planning and sacrifice. It was Liwei's focal point, a tiny anchor in a storm of chaos. Even now, decades later, an ancient, wrinkled hand reaches out. It's Liwei's. He gently brushes a speck of dust from its surface. The hand is a map of a long life, a life dedicated to a singular, profound purpose. Though the great shadow that once loomed over these lands is long gone, the work, he knows, is never truly finished. A healthy world, a just society, isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a garden you must tend to every single day. It's a continuous process of care, of maintenance, of ensuring the soil remains fertile for generations to come. This small, quiet act of cleaning the stone is a reflection of that lifelong commitment. Down in the valley, the marketplace is a symphony of life. It's a vibrant tapestry woven from the threads of countless individual stories. People from the once divided mountainous north and the Phoenix Valley now trade freely, their laughter echoing through the bustling square. This is the picture of unity, not enforced by decree, but born from mutual respect and shared prosperity. Standing amidst the crowd is Jian, no longer a warrior on the front lines, but the chief strategist, his gaze filled with a deep, quiet satisfaction. He isn't directing or commanding, he's simply observing, soaking in the peace he helped build. Beside him stands Mei, a young apprentice, her eyes sharp and eager. She represents the new generation, born into the world her elders fought for. She points discreetly towards a vendor, her voice a concerned whisper. "Master Jian," she says, "that vendor's scale, it's slightly off. The code is clear on the penalty. Should we intervene?" Jian doesn't even glance at the scales. His eyes are on the people. A gentle smile touches his lips as he gestures toward the scene. "Look closer, child," he says, his voice calm and instructive. "Don't just see the action, understand the heart behind it." He directs her gaze to the family receiving the goods. Their clothes are worn, their gratitude immense. The vendor is using the extra weight to give a poor family more food than they could afford. The code gives a structure, but it is our compassion that gives us wisdom, purity of intent. May. That is always above the strict letter of the law. A just world isn't built on rigid rules alone, but on the kindness we show one another. This is the true lesson, the one that can't be written in any book. A lesson of empathy and humanity. As the sun begins its descent, it paints the sky in hues of gold and crimson. A breathtaking panorama stretching over the entire unified territory. The view mirrors the final scene of the great conflict, but where there was once uncertainty, there is now an overwhelming sense of peace. From this vantage point, the mighty stronghold, the bustling valley, and all the people within them become tiny, interconnected points of light under a vast, tranquil sky. The Restorer's journey, the epic struggle of Liwei and his companions, has ended, but their legacy, rooted in the constant, quiet work of integrity, compassion, and daily care, has only just begun. It is a legacy that doesn't need statues or grand pronouncements. It lives and breathes in every act of kindness, in every fair trade, in every wildflower that pushes through the stone. Decades past, the Great Peace was a testament to one man's purity of intent. The stronghold held firm, not through force, but through foundation. The code of restoration was not a static law, but a living philosophy passed down from generation to generation. The elders mentored the young, ensuring the lessons of the past were never forgotten. The land flourished, a mosaic of busy, prosperous villages united under a shared purpose. Deep in the mountains, along a hidden, overgrown path, the next generation learned these lessons firsthand. May, once an apprentice herself, now a sharp and experienced master, walked with her own young student, Fang. They stopped where the trail had become treacherous, eroded and slick with mud. "See, Fang," May said, her voice patient but firm. "This path has been neglected. The earth is loose. The stones are giving way." Fang sighed, kicking at a loose pebble with his boot. "But Master May, this is just a goat track. It leads to only 2 small farms. Shouldn't we use our resources to fix the main trade road first? That's what's truly important." May smiled softly. She turned away from the broken path and walked toward a small, clear mountain stream nearby, sitting on a smooth rock at its edge. "Come," she said, gesturing for Fang to join her. "Let me tell you the story of the Restorer and the stream." As she spoke, the image of a younger Liwei came to mind, a man in his prime, carefully ranging small stones by a stream just like this one. He wasn't building a dam or changing its course, but simply ensuring the water flowed cleanly over them, preventing it from eroding the banks. Restorer Liwei once said, May began, her voice carrying the weight of the old master's wisdom. "A river's great power is not in its depth, but in its constant, clean flow." The serpent's shadow did not start with a great flood, Fang. It started with a small, dirty trickle of corruption that was ignored because it seemed insignificant. She looked directly at her young apprentice, her gaze piercing. If we neglect a small path, the farmers who use it become isolated. If they are isolated, they feel unheard. If they feel unheard, their loyalty erodes. The erosion of stone becomes the erosion of trust. This is how the foundation begins to crack. Understanding dawned in Fang's eyes. May stood and returned to the path. She picked up a smooth, sturdy stone and pressed it firmly back into the eroded bank. The code of restoration demands that we fix the small crack, the minor injustice, the isolated path, before they become major failures. This is the true work. Inspired, Fang stooped down, his earlier frustration replaced with a newfound purpose. He began to gather stones, placing them carefully and deliberately. "I understand, Master May," he said, his voice filled with resolve. "We are not just building a path. We are reinforcing the foundation of unity, together." Master and apprentice worked, their small effort a powerful symbol of their shared commitment. The legacy of purity was not in the great victory won long ago, but in the humble, daily victory over neglect. As the sun set, bathing the valley in a golden glow, the restored path stood as a quiet testament to this truth. High above in the stronghold, a small white stone on a balcony shone in the final rays of light. The stream runs clean. The foundation holds. The restoration is eternal. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It feels like ages since we closed the book on Liwei's journey, doesn't it? With the true epilogue and that symbolic coda, the story felt so beautifully complete. But as we all know, a legacy isn't just about what's finished, it's about what endures. And sometimes, entrance requires a new chapter, a new generation to face the echoes of the past. Today, we're diving into the first glimpse of that future, the whisper of the forgotten wall. Get ready, because the piece we thought was permanent is about to be tested. Decades have passed since we last saw the stronghold. The world has moved on. We open in a vast, high-tech Alliance archive room. The architecture is still that ancient, familiar stone, but it's now interwoven with sleek, modern technology. Standing at the center of it all is a figure we know and love, Mei. She's now in her late 50s, the chief strategist, her hair streaked with gray. But her gaze is as sharp and resolute as ever. She watches over a team of young historians who are busy using digital scanners on ancient artifacts. The code of restoration is a living document, she says, her voice firm, commanding the attention of the room. We must not just preserve the text, but the context. What were the elders trying to hide? Right away, we see the shift. The focus isn't on rebuilding anymore. It's on understanding. The piece has given them the luxury of introspection, of digging deeper into their own history. And that digging is about to unearth something unexpected. A young, brilliant researcher named Kale approaches Mei, his face alight with excitement. He holds up a digital tablet, displaying a fragmented stone carving they've just discovered in a newly excavated cellar, hidden beneath the stronghold's oldest foundations. Master Mei, he says, his voice buzzing, we've found this hidden under the oldest foundation stones. It's a fragment of the original oath of loyalty predating the serpent's influence, but not the stronghold. This is a monumental discovery, an oath older than the corruption that plagued their world for generations. But as Kale speaks, the scene flashes to a dark, unsettling image. We see an ancient, shadowed stone wall covered in strange, glowing runes and dripping with dark water. It's a place deep within the stronghold's foundations, a place long forgotten. For generations, the narration tells us, the piece allowed them to forget the deep structure of the stronghold and what it was originally built to keep out. This isn't just a fortress, it's a prison, and we're about to find out what's inside. Back in the archive, Mei leans in, her expression shifting from curiosity to deep concern. The carving on the tablet isn't what she expected. It shows a figure not Liwei binding a terrifying, dark entity with chains made of pure light. The raw power depicted in this ancient image is staggering. This oath, Mei murmurs, her voice low and serious. It speaks not of restoring life, but of restricting power. Why would the founders need such a binding? The question hangs heavy in the very foundation of their history. Their understanding of the founders' purpose is being shaken. They weren't just builders, they were wardens. Later, Mei stands alone on that peaceful, familiar balcony where Liwei spent so much time contemplating. It's a beautiful, clear day, but a single, dark shadow suddenly falls across the small white stone at her feet. It passes in an instant, maybe it was just a bird. But the moment leaves Mei with a profound sense of unease. Her inner monologue reveals her deepest fears. Liwei taught us to fix the crack, she thinks. But what if the crack is not in the wall, but in the foundation of the world itself? This is the core of the new conflict. The previous battle was against a corruption that had seeped in. This one is against something that was locked away from the very beginning. With a newfound determination hardening her features, Mei turns from the balcony. She finds Kale waiting in the doorway and makes a decisive command. Stop the excavation of the cellar, she orders, holding up the tablet with the image of the binding. Seal it for now. We will follow the legacy of the restorer, not his exact footsteps. We must first understand what the founders fought. Her final words set the stage for the next great adventure. Bring me the oldest records of the forgotten wall. The piece, as absolute as it seemed, is now facing the absolute unknown. A legacy, to truly last, must always be ready. And that's where we leave it, the first whisper of a new storm. It's a brilliant way to continue the story, honoring the past while forging a new path. What do you all think is locked behind the forgotten wall? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Lore masters and story enthusiasts, today, we're diving deep into the foundations of the Azure Phoenix stronghold, exploring a secret so profound it was erased from history itself. This is the tale of the architects of silence. Our journey begins in the dustiest, most forgotten corner of the stronghold's great library. Imagine towering shelves groaning under the weight of ancient, leather-bound tomes, the air thick with the scent of aged paper and forgotten knowledge. Here, in the soft glow of floating light orbs, we find our chief strategist, May, and the brilliant young researcher, Kale. They are hunched over a massive, brittle map, the original foundation plans of the stronghold. As they trace the familiar layouts, one area stands out by its complete absence, a large quadrant deep beneath the main structure, deliberately left blank, marked only by a single, cryptic symbol. May's voice is a soft whisper, barely disturbing the ancient silence. The founders were meticulous, she murmurs, her finger tracing the enigmatic symbol. Every stone was logged. Why is this entire quadrant deliberately silent? It's a chilling question. In a place built with such precision, a void on the map is more telling than any detail. It screams of a secret, something intentionally buried and hidden from all future generations. What could be so important, or so dangerous, that the very architects of the stronghold chose to erase it from their own plans? Suddenly, Kel's eyes light up with discovery. He points to a faint inscription, almost lost in the aged parchment along the edge of the blank section. The inscription, he exclaims, his voice filled with the thrill of the chase. It's archaic Phoenix script. He leans in closer, deciphering the ancient text. It translates roughly to, here, purity is held by absence. The architects of silence shall guard what must not return. The words hang in the air, heavy with implication. Purity held by absence. What must not return? This isn't just a forgotten cellar. It's a prison, a containment unit built on a foundational level, guarded by a concept rather than a lock and key. As we ponder this, the map seems to fade, replaced by a metaphorical image in our minds. A gigantic, solid, impenetrable stone wall, featureless and dark, stretching down into an endless abyss. The corruption of the serpent they fought before was an external threat, a poison from the outside. But this feels different. This feels like a primal defense, a cage built not for a creature, but against something that resided within the very structure of the world itself. An internal threat, sealed away at the dawn of the stronghold's creation. With a resolute thump that sends a cloud of dust into the air, May closes the ancient tome. The soft archival light illuminates the determination etched on her face. We must find the entrance to the absence, she says, her tone measured and firm. It won't be in the public records. It will be protected by a key of intent, something only the true strategists of the past understood. This is no ordinary quest for a hidden door. It's a riddle of the mind, a puzzle left by the stronghold's greatest thinkers for their successors to solve. Their search takes them not to the deep vaults or hidden archives, but to the sunlit central courtyard. As they walk quickly past the iconic statue of the Staff of Authority, Kale looks around, confused. Master May, he asks, why are we here? The secret entrance won't be in the most public place in the stronghold. It's a logical question. Why would a secret meant to be eternally sealed be located in the open, for all to see? But May isn't looking at the grand monuments. She stops, her gaze fixed on the statue. She approaches it, but her focus isn't on the gleaming Staff of Authority. Instead, she looks down to the worn stone base where the staff meets its pedestal. Her fingers trace a tiny, almost invisible seam in the stona hairline crack, the kind of imperfection that the diligent restorer Liwei, in his constant work of small repairs, might have overlooked or mistaken for simple wear and tear. A quiet revelation dawns on her face. Restorer Liwei taught us to find the crack in the system, she says, her voice barely a whisper. But the most powerful locks are often disguised as the most mundane repairs. The key is not a metal object. The key is in the very structure of the stronghold's stability. The next chapter of restoration was not about fixing corruption, but about unlocking a secret meant to remain eternally sealed. What lies within the absence? And what will happen when the architects of silence can no longer guard what must not return? The answers lie just beyond that tiny crack in the stone. And trust me, this chapter changes everything we thought we knew. We open in the sunlit courtyard, a place of peace. But May and Kale are about to disturb that tranquility. They're at the base of the statue of the Staff of Authority, a symbol of power we've seen since the beginning. May has found a tiny, almost invisible seam in the pedestal. It's something she noticed last chapter, a detail that's been hiding in plain sight. Kale, our tech expert, is scanning it. He confirms it's not just a seam, it's a log. But this isn't your average log. He says the stone is impossibly dense and doesn't respond to any known frequency. This isn't a physical key. It's something else entirely. This is where it gets really interesting. Mei, showing her wisdom, doesn't try to force it. Instead, she pulls out Liwei's personal journal. Remember Liwei, the legendary restorer. Mei reflects on his philosophy. True power isn't about destruction. It's about healing and preservation. She realizes the founders, the architects of silence, weren't trying to destroy their enemy. They were trying to contain it, to bind it. This single thought completely reframes the purpose of the stronghold and its secrets. It's not a fortress for war, but a prison for something far more ancient. With this new understanding, Mei places her hands on the pedestal. She doesn't channel energy or force. She does the opposite. She focuses her will, achieving a state of absolute stillness, a pure intent for peace. It's a direct parallel to how Liwei himself faced the serpent not with overwhelming power, but with an unshakable purity of heart. It's a beautiful and powerful moment that shows Mei truly is his successor. And as she does this, the impossible happens. A pure, white light emanates from the seam. The stone doesn't shatter or crack. It dissolves, flowing like water. Kale is just as stunned as we are, realizing the key was never an object, but a concept, purity of intent. The very quality that defines our heroes is what unlocks the stronghold's deepest secret. This is peak fantasy storytelling, linking character virtue directly to the plot's progression. It's not about who is strongest, but who is purest. What's revealed is terrifying. The pedestal melts away to show a perfect, square stairwell leading down into absolute, pitch-black darkness. An unnatural cold air rises from it, completely still and silent. This isn't just a basement. It's a void. Mei, ever the leader, looks down with pure determination. She understands that the architects were protecting the world from something so old, so dangerous, that even a world-devouring serpent wouldn't go near it. And with a calm resolve, she simply says, "We go down." The final sequence is breathtakingly atmospheric. Mei descends first, her light orb barely cutting through the oppressive darkness. Kale follows her, stepping into the unknown. And then, the stone pedestal reforms above them, sealing them in. The final shot is of them trapped in profound, absolute silence and darkness. The narrator's box delivers the final, chilling line. The legacy of purity had faced the world's corruption. Now, it had to face the ancient silence of its own foundation. It's a perfect, haunting end to the chapter, leaving us with so many questions. What is down there? What did the architects lock away? And can Mei and Kale even survive it? This chapter was a masterclass in building tension and expanding lore. The key being a state of mind is brilliant, and the final reveal is one of the most exciting cliffhangers yet. What do you guys think is waiting for them in the dark? Let me know all your theories down in the comments. The chapter opens with Mei and Kale stepping into a vast, cylindrical underground chamber. The art direction here is just incredible. Dark, smooth, seamless stone walls stretching up into the darkness. The silence is the first thing that hits you. It's not just quiet, it's an absolute void of sound. Kale whispers, his voice swallowed by the immense space. It's enormous. And so quiet. Not a natural quiet, but an absolute absence of sound. What is this place? The sheer scale of the chamber, barely lit by Mei's light orb, immediately establishes a sense of ancient, oppressive dread. You can feel the weight of the air, thick with unspoken history. Mei, ever the wise master, seems to sense the chamber's true purpose. She walks to the center, her movements slow and respectful, as she kneels and places her hand on the polished stone floor. She delivers a line that sends shivers down your spine. This is where the architects of silence perform their binding. Look, Kale, the floor isn't cold, it's inert. It radiates nothing. No life, no heat, no vibration. This isn't just a room. It's a prison cell built on a metaphysical level. It's a place designed to nullify existence itself. The very concept is terrifying, and the art perfectly captures this unnerving stillness. As if to prove her point, the next panel gives us a close-up of Kel's scanner. We've seen this device read everything from energy signatures to complex alien biology, but here, it's completely useless. The screen is just pure white static, a visual representation of the chamber's absolute nothingness. Kale, usually so confident with his tech, is baffled. He taps the device, saying, "My scanner, it's useless. It can't sense energy, stone density, or even ambient temperature. It's like the laws of physics are muffled down here." This detail brilliantly shows us, rather than just tells us, the unnatural power at play. The rules of reality don't apply in this chamber. And then comes the big reveal. May points to a faint, ancient, rusted metallic ring embedded in the exact center of the floor. This is the focal point of everything. She says, with a grave tone, the original oath we found wasn't a promise of loyalty. It was a binding ritual. They didn't lock a creature away. They locked away a concept. Let that sink in. The architects weren't just jailers for some monster. They were guarding the universe from an idea, a fundamental force. The narrator confirms this, explaining that while the serpent's corruption was about greed, what the architects bound was something far older and more primal. The destructive urge to undo stability itself. The urge for chaos. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The oppressive silence is no longer just an absence of sound. It feels like an active presence, a guard. May senses this shift, her instincts screaming danger. She turns sharply, her expression urgent. We must leave. This silence is not peace. It's a guard. We need to know what power they used to seal this lock, not what they locked away. Her priority isn't to understand the prisoner, but to understand the prison itself. She knows that by being there, they are testing the strength of the cage. And that is a risk she is not willing to take. As they rush back towards the dark stairwell, the final panels deliver an absolutely perfect cliffhanger. Kale takes one last look back, and the camera focuses on what he sees. A ripple, a subtle distortion, crossing the pure black stone of the far wall. The impossible has happened. And then, the silence is shattered. Just for a moment, a single, low, resonant hum echoes through the chamber before being swallowed again by the quiet. Kel's voice is filled with a new kind of fear as he shouts, "Master May, did you hear that? The static. It's not static at all. It's the whisper of the forgotten wall." The chapter ends with the narrator's ominous words. They had disturbed the eternal guard. The silence was broken. What an incredible chapter. They didn't just find a secret room. They stumbled upon the seal of a primal, conceptual force and may have just cracked it. That final hum is one of the most terrifying sound effects they could have chosen. What do you think will happen now that the silence is broken? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you thought things couldn't get any more intense after, you were in for a shock. The cliffhanger left us with May and Kale narrowly escaping the absence after breaking the ancient silence in the chamber of static. That chilling hum they sensed wasn't just a spooky sound effect. It was the herald of a much deeper, more ancient threat. The chapter opens with our heroes bursting back into the seemingly peaceful courtyard. There, breathless, shaken, and the sunlight, which should feel comforting, is almost aggressive after the absolute void they just left. The stone pedestal they emerged from seals itself shut, trapping the horror below for now. This single panel beautifully captures their trauma and the stark contrast between the world above and the nightmare beneath. Immediately, Kale is in a frantic state, his scanner still glitching with residual static. He yells, "Master May." The hum wasn't sound. It was an energy signature rupture in the inert field. That thing is regaining freedom. This is a terrifying confirmation. The threat isn't just an external monster. It's a fundamental force, an energy that's been contained and is now breaking free. The danger is internal to the stronghold itself. May, ever the leader, rushes to the staff of authority. But as she touches it, a cold realization washes over her. The staff, the ultimate symbol of power that Liwei once wielded, is useless here. She says, the staff, the ultimate symbol of the Restorer's power, is useless against this. Liwei fought a visible evil. We face an unseen void. This line is so powerful. It redefines the stakes. This isn't a battle of strength or conventional power. It's a struggle against nothingness, an existential threat that can't be punched or blasted. How do you fight a void? This moment highlights the shift from a physical enemy to an abstract, almost philosophical one. Just as despair begins to set in, Kale has a breakthrough. He pulls up the ancient map from chapter 35. the one with that mysterious blank quadrant. He points to a tiny symbol they'd previously dismissed right at the edge of that blank space. It's a simple circle with a horizontal line through it. Wait, he exclaims. That single symbol on the map's border, it matches the architect's seal for closure. It's not just an abyss, it's a prepared final defense. This is a classic aha moment. The founders, the original architects, weren't naive. They knew this day might come. That blank space on the map wasn't an oversight. It was a deliberate, marked territory, a final failsafe. This revelation sparks a connection in May's mind. Closure, a final defense. She realizes the architects never intended for anyone to enter the binding chamber. They left a last resort. But where would you hide something so crucial that it could withstand centuries of potential? Corruption. Her eyes dart across the courtyard, past the statue, landing on the stronghold's ancient walls, specifically where those healthy, vibrant vines grow. These are the same vines we saw in the epilogue of Chapter 31, a symbol of enduring peace and life. It's a brilliant piece of narrative weaving, connecting a seemingly small detail from the past to this critical moment. May runs to the wall, pushing aside the thickest of the flowering vines, and there, hidden for ages, is intricately carved stone lettering. The camera zooms in, and Kel's scanner quickly translates the faded words. The inscription reads, "When the silence breaks, deliver the seed of purity to the heart of the flow. Only the healer's intent may command the wall." Kel's eyes go wide as he reads it aloud. The seed of purity, the heart of the flow. Master May, it's not a weapon. It's a command based on Liwei's philosophy. This is the ultimate twist. The solution isn't another fight. It's not about overwhelming the void with more power. With newfound determination, May looks back at the sealed pedestal. She understands now. They don't need to fight the void head-on. They need to command the wall, the very foundation of the stronghold, to bind it again. And the key, the legacy of purity itself. It's about intent, healing, and restoring balance, not destruction. The final narration box sums it up perfectly. The founders had prepared for the void's return, but only the restorer's purity could activate their final seal. What a chapter! It sets up a finale that isn't about brute force, but about philosophy and the core ideals of the story. I absolutely cannot wait to see how they interpret and enact this ancient command. What did you all think of this incredible chapter? Let me know your theories about the seed of purity and the heart of the flow in the comments below. May and Kale made a huge discovery. They found an inscription left by the ancient architects, revealing the final defense against the void. It said they must deliver the seed of purity to the heart of the flow. What does that even mean? Get ready, because everything Liwei built up to comes down to this single, powerful moment. The chapter opens in that once peaceful courtyard, now thick with tension. May and Kale are hunched over the ancient inscription, their faces lit by Kel's tablet. He's frantically swiping through Liwei's journals, his eyes wide. The seed of purity. I've seen this, he says, his voice urgent. Restorer Liwei wrote about it. He said it wasn't a physical object, but a principle, the very first rule of restoration. Transparency, total. Absolute honesty in leadership. It's not a thing you can hold, but an idea you have to embody. As Kale speaks, May's gaze shifts. She turns and looks at the simple stone fountain in the center of the courtyard, the one that's always been there, providing clean, flowing water. It's been a symbol of the stronghold's life force for generations. A light of realization dawns on her face and the heart of the flow. She breathes, the pieces clicking into place. It's not a river, Kale. It's the fountain. It's the core of our clean energy, the symbol of transparent governance Liwei established. The seed of purity isn't a gem, and the heart of the flow isn't a location. They are the founding ideals of the stronghold made manifest. But as they look closer, a horrifying detail emerges. The fountain's water, usually crystal clear, has a faint, swirling blackness within it. It's subtle, but it's there. The influence of the void from the chamber below is already seeping into the stronghold's very heart. Time is running out. Without a word, May pulls out the leather-bound copy of the Code of Restoration she always carries, the same kind her mentor Qin Feng once held. Her jaw is set. We have to deliver the seed. The principle of transparency into the flow before the void taints the source completely, she declares. In a swift, decisive move, May runs to the fountain. She doesn't hesitate. She rips out the very first page of the code, the one that legally enshrines purity of intent and transparency as the absolute law of the stronghold. This single piece of paper is the physical representation of the seed of purity. She holds it over the churning, blackened water, her expression one of intense focus and determination. In this moment, she's not just Mei, she's the inheritor of Liwei's legacy, filled with that same youthful fire. Then, with her voice ringing out with newfound authority, she makes the declaration. I command the wall, by the absolute transparency that binds this stronghold. I command the architect's seal to hold. She lets the page go. It drifts down and touches the water. Instantly, instead of getting soggy, it dissolves in a flash of light. A colossal, invisible wave of pure white energy erupts from the fountain. So powerful you can almost feel it through the panels. The energy doesn't go up. It streaks through the ground. A guided missile of light heading straight for the sealed chamber below. Kale can only watch in. It worked. He shouts. The purity of intent. It activated the ancient binding mechanism. The final panel takes us back down to the chamber of static. The wave of white energy slams into the metallic ring on the floor. The dark, wispy vapor of the void is instantly annihilated, scoured clean by the pure energy. The massive stone walls, which had begun to ripple and warp, snap back into solid, silent stillness. The ring glows white-hot for a second, then fades, its purpose fulfilled. And up above, the water in the fountain runs perfectly, beautifully clear once more. A narrator's text box closes the chapter. The corruption of the past was countered by the purity of the future. The legacy was not just a shield, but the eternal key to the stronghold itself. What an incredible conclusion. Mei didn't just follow an instruction. She understood and embodied the very soul of the stronghold to save it. Wow, what a chapter! The symbolism, the action, the payoff, it's everything we could have hoped for. Let me know what you all thought down in the comments. This was a masterclass in storytelling. This isn't a chapter of high-octane action, but one of profound reflection and resolution. It's the final, gentle note that brings this epic symphony to a close. So, let's explore how this incredible story finds its quiet, powerful end. We open in the stronghold's courtyard, just moments after the climactic energy surge. The chaos is gone, replaced by a serene peace. The sun is shining, and the fountain's water, once corrupted, now flows with pristine clarity. Mei is standing by the fountain, a picture of calm as she dries her hands. The immediate threat has passed. Nearby, Kale examines the pedestal that once held the staff of authority. It's now inert, the stone perfectly sealed. He runs his fingers over it, a sense of awe in his voice. The void is sealed. Master Mei, he says, his tone reverent. The stronghold is safe. But we know now that the dangers Liwei fought were merely symptoms of something much older. This line is crucial. It acknowledges that while they've won this battle, the war against entropy and decay is eternal. The victory isn't an end, but a reinforcement of their ongoing duty. Mei turns to Kale, her expression soft and thoughtful. In her hands, she holds the worn, water-damaged cover of the Code of Restoration. This is the very book from which she sacrificed the first page to achieve the purity of intent, needed to command the architect's seal. She looks at the empty cover and says, "The greatest wisdom is recognizing that a problem solved is not a problem gone." This is the core theme of the chapter, distilled into a single, powerful sentence. She continues, "The architects of silence created a defense against the void. Restorer Liwei gave us the key to activate that defense, purity of intent." Mei understands that Liwei's legacy wasn't just a one-time fix. It was a philosophy, a way of life that demands constant vigilance and a pure heart. The tool is useless without the intention behind it. The scene shifts to the balcony overlooking the now peaceful, unified lands. This is the same spot where Liwei's simple white stone has rested for centuries. Mei approaches it, her gaze distant as she looks out over the valley. She picks up the small, smooth stone, a tangible link to the founder. As she holds it, her inner monologue gives us insight into her revelation. He fought the serpent with his bare hands and his will, she thinks. He taught us to fix the crack. But the true lesson was to always be ready for the day when the crack returns. This isn't about paranoia. It's about preparedness. It is the understanding that peace is not a destination, but a continuous process of maintenance. and care. Liwei didn't just solve a problem. He established a system for dealing with its inevitable return in a deeply symbolic act. Mei gently places the ancient white stone back where it belongs. But she doesn't stop there. Beside it, she sets down the now empty, water-damaged cover of the Code of Restoration. Stripped of its first page, the cover is transformed. It's no longer just a book, but a new icon for the Order. It serves as a constant, physical reminder that purity of intent, that absolute transparency and commitment is not a given. It must be continually earned, reaffirmed, and sometimes sacrificed for. It represents the idea that their most sacred text is not complete without their active, ongoing commitment. The legacy is not just read, it is lived. Our perspective then pulls back, giving us a wide shot of the entire stronghold and the valley below. But the focus isn't on the grand architecture or the sealed void. Instead, the camera guides our eyes to a small group of young apprentices near the entrance. They are led by a now middle-aged Kale. And what grand task are they undertaking? They aren't deciphering ancient mysteries or preparing for the next cosmic threat. They are simply repairing a worn section of a public pathway. It's a simple, mundane act of maintenance. The narrator's voice comes in, saying, "The grand battles became legend. The great truths were written in stone." This acknowledges the epic scale of what we've witnessed. The stories of Mei, Kale, and Liwei will be told for generations. But then, we cut to the final, beautiful image of the entire saga. We are back in the peaceful courtyard. The camera focused tightly on the old stone wall where a flowering vine grows. We see healthy, vibrant new blossoms growing robustly on the ancient structure. It's a perfect visual metaphor for life, renewal, and endurance. The narrator delivers the final lines, but the legacy of purity truly flourished in the quiet, constant commitment to the small, unseen work of healing and restoration. And with that, the saga ends. The true legacy wasn't in the epic battles, but in the daily, humble work of mending what is broken, of tending to the small cracks before they become chasms. It's a beautiful, poignant, and incredibly fitting end to this incredible story. It has been an absolute honor to explore this world with all of you. Centuries past, the Azure Phoenix stronghold, once the epicenter of a world-shaking conflict, settled into a new role. It became the spiritual heart of civilization, not its seat of government. The terrifying threats of the serpent and the void, which once brought the world to its knees, faded from reality into the realm of mythology. Stories told to children to teach them about a past they could barely imagine. In what was once the arid Northern Territory, a new city has risen. It's a vibrant, futuristic metropolis, yet it lives in harmony with nature. Sleek architecture defined by flowing lines and transparency stretches towards the sky. A silent, high-speed maglev train glides across a crystalline bridge, a testament to a peaceful, advanced, and stable society. Inside this train sits Jia, a young and earnest historian in her early 20s, clad in the Alliance's scholar robes. She gazes out at the thriving landscape, a compact holographic projector resting in her hands. She thinks to herself, the world is perfect, stability is absolute. But a question gnaws at her scholarly mind. History is still full of holes. Why did the restorer, Liwei, risk everything for a simple, almost abstract concept like purity of intent? It's a question that has driven her journey here. The train arrives at the Judicial Center, a stunning, minimalist building constructed entirely of transparent glass. It's a physical embodiment of the society's core values. Jia steps inside, her footsteps echoing softly in the vast, open space. She's here to meet an elderly, wise-looking judge. His office, like the rest of the building, is completely open, devoid of private walls or hidden corners. He looks up from a shimmering scroll as she approaches. "Scholar Jia," the judge says, his voice kind and welcoming. "You've come a long way. You wanted to know why our most sacred laws are laws of transparency and restoration are all based on a single, faded, ancient text." With a gentle tap, the judge activates the scroll. A holographic projection flickers to life between them. It shows a close-up image of a small, white stone resting beside the damaged cover of the ancient Code of Restoration, exactly as they were left centuries ago on that fateful day. The first restorer, Liwei, taught us a lesson that has shaped our world, the judge explains, his eyes fixed on the hologram. He taught us that the greatest lie is the hidden wall, The moment you create a secret space, no matter how small, corruption finds a foothold. It's in the shadows that doubt and mistrust are born. He gestures around his completely transparent office, a simple yet profound statement. We practice absolute transparency not because it is convenient, but because it is the eternal seal against the darkness that once plagued our ancestors. Our law is not designed merely to punish, but to heal the breach of trust, to restore what was broken, just as the restorer himself did. Gia looks from the holographic image of the past to the thriving, transparent world outside the window. A deep sense of understanding washes over her, connecting the dots of history in a way no textbook ever could. The judge smiles, a knowing, gentle expression on his face. He holds up a small, smooth white stone, a modern replica of the one in the projection. The stronghold's physical walls are long gone, Gia, the judge says, his voice resonating with the weight of history. But the lesson remains. The only thing that truly lasts is purity of intent. The saga of Liwei and the Azure Phoenix stronghold ended centuries ago. But the legacy, perfected and made eternal, wasn't a monument or a law book. It was simply the world that continued, built on a foundation of trust and openness. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to dive deep into the very heart of a story that has captivated so many of us, exploring its definitive ending and the profound meaning behind its final, silent pages. This isn't about what comes next, because the story has already given us its perfect conclusion. Instead, this is a tribute, a reflection on a legacy that was built to last forever. The main narrative, as we know, concluded with the special episode. It was a powerful confirmation that the sacrifices made, the battles fought, and the purity of intent that drove our heroes resulted in a truly lasting peace. For centuries, the world thrived. It became the perfect, peaceful society they had dreamed of. Each epilogue was a testament to success, showing us that the darkness was well and truly defeated. To even consider writing another chapter would mean undoing everything the ending stands for. It would require manufacturing a new, massive cosmic threat, which would cheapen the definitive victory and render the beautiful epilogues meaningless. The story isn't about an endless cycle of conflict. It's about breaking that cycle, and it succeeded. But for a grand series like this, there's one final, beautiful way to say goodbye, a purely visual and poetic coda. This brings us to the final page, the enduring light, a silent chapter designed not to add to the plot, but to crystallize its theme. Let's walk through it together and appreciate its artistry. Imagine the first panel. We're in orbit, looking down at the entire world. It's a breathtaking, panoramic view. There are no borders, no scars of old conflicts. Instead, we see a mosaic of thriving green cities and crystal clear waterways, all bathed in the warm glow of a sunrise. It's a beautiful, shining sphere. A tiny text box in the corner simply says, "The world restored." This isn't just a repaired world, it's a perfected one. The scale is cosmic, showing us the full, magnificent result of the legacy. Then, the second panel zooms us in, bringing us back to where it all began, the Azure Phoenix stronghold. But it's transformed. The ancient stone buildings are now embraced by vast, transparent libraries and serene gardens. The camera focuses on the courtyard fountain, the very heart of the stronghold. The water flows with absolute clarity, perfectly reflecting the morning light. This is a symbol of the purification of the source, the cleansing of the past. The stronghold is no longer a fortress for war, but a center for knowledge and peace. The third panel is an intimate close-up. We see the small, white stone on the balcony parapet. After centuries, it's incredibly worn, almost blending into the wall it rests upon. It's a quiet reminder of the humble beginnings, of the initial spark of purity. A single, healthy vine has grown up to touch it, and right next to the stone, a tiny, new, pure white blossom is unfurling. The narrator's text here is so poignant. The constant, small repair. This tells us that peace isn't a static state. It's an active, ongoing process of care, growth, and renewal. The legacy isn't just a grand monument. It's in every small, beautiful detail. And finally, the last panel. The screen goes to absolute blackness. Deep silence. Then, in the center of this void, a single, tiny, yet intensely bright white speck of light burns steadily. It's described as the purity of intent, eternal and unyielding. This is the core concept of the entire series, distilled into one powerful image. It's the indestructible idea, the moral foundation that can never be extinguished. Below it, in large, centered font, are the final words, "The legacy endures." And then, fin, the end. What a masterpiece of an ending! It doesn't need dialogue or action. It uses the visual language of manga to convey a feeling of absolute finality and eternal hope. It's not a cliffhanger. It's a statement. The story is over. The victory is absolute, and the light will never go out. It's the perfect, poetic sign-off to a truly epic saga. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been an honor to analyze these final moments with you all. What did you think of this silent coda? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell for more content. Until next time, take care.